They really had a stronghold of giving him tainted needles with the AIDS virus in them through acupuncture, because how else could somebody die that fast to AIDS?
Eazy-E's death was no accident. Apparently somebody wanted him gone. People have been pointing fingers at Dr. Dre for years, and now his former producer just dropped some real bombshells about his final moments. And it confirms what people have been saying all along. Eazy-E was taken out. Time to break this whole thing down. The final hours. Secrets from the deathbed. March 26, 1995. That's the day the streets lost a real one, and the circumstances surrounding Eazy-E's death were so wild they'd have conspiracy theorists going crazy for decades. This story don't start with Homeboy Flatlines though. It kicks off with him collapsing in the studio like he got hit by a freight train. BG Knockout was right there when everything went left, witnessing the moment that changed the whole game forever.
When his lungs actually collapsed in the studio, wasn't nobody there but me, Donovan, and my cousin, because we was working on our album.
How long was that before he entered the hospital to Cedars?
It was the day of.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was in the back of the studio, in that little hallway. And I went out there like 2 or 3 times.
What BG witnessed next was straight up terrifying, like watching your homie's body just give up on him.
I'm like, E, can you please come on and do your little part so we can turn this album in? He was like, hold on. The last time I went out, he was wheezing real heavily. And he started hitting the inhalers. And as we were talking, he started sweating and his condition just progressively got worse. He can barely speak.
This wasn't no slow decline like when your OG gets sick and everybody sees it coming. Nah, this was a complete breakdown that took Eazy straight from the booth to Cedars-Sinai on February 24th, 1995. And the homie never made it back to the block. The phone call that flipped everything upside down came not too long after. Tamika Woods, who was Eazy's main girl at the time, got hit with some devastating news that would shatter their whole world.
And I got a call from the doctor. But really, I got a call from him, but then he was on the phone crying and couldn't talk. And then the doctor got on the phone, asked me, was I sitting down? And then he told me, we got the test results back, and the test results came back positive. He was HIV positive. I said, okay, and took me a minute, and he asked, are you okay? And I just remember, just sitting, crying.
Yo, the diagnosis was even more devastating than just testing positive for the virus.
Eazy's girlfriend, Tamika, tested negative. But doctors said Eazy was in the final stages of full-blown AIDS.
That's when you know the situation is beyond f***ed up. The timeline had everybody in the hood scratching their heads. Here's a cat who was still grinding in the studio, cutting deals worth serious paper and shooting videos with Wu-Tang. But within days, the doctors saying he got full-blown AIDS. The official cause of death got recorded as pneumocystis carinii pneumonia due to acquired immune deficiency syndrome. His daughter, E.B. Wright, confirmed this years later when she pulled up the paperwork.
I just pulled it out. I know you can't see it, but I'm just gonna read it to you. So it says, immediate cause, pneumocystis carinii pneumonia due to acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
Now here's where the story gets real grimy. What went down in that hospital room would spark family beefs and legal battles that are still popping off today. On March 14, 1995, just 12 days before Homeboy died, Eazy married Tamika Woods right there in his hospital bed while he was hooked up to machines. This wasn't no romantic ceremony. This was some desperate last-minute business. Tamika herself broke down what that moment was really about.
We got married at the hospital because he wasn't sure if he was gonna make it through. He went through the whole list of, who to trust, who not to trust, who to look out for, who not to look out for, apologizing for whatever negative things that he brought onto my life. And was basically it.
But the wedding was just the beginning of some moves that would have serious consequences down the line. On that same day, Eazy signed paperwork that transferred control of his whole empire, Ruthless Records, and everything else worth $10, $15 million, straight to Tamika. The timing had people who knew the real Eazy raising all kinds of red flags. JJ Fad, one of the first acts that got put on through Ruthless, witnessed the aftermath and started questioning whether these crucial decisions were even legit.
Yeah, but then there was, apparently they got married on his deathbed.
Yeah.
There's that.
Then there's that.
And was that a valid signature as a person's dying of AIDS?
Right. And unconscious.
And probably unconscious, yeah. I mean, did he actually sign
and
it or
just
not?
sign in because sign here. Do you actually know what you sign in? I mean, you could have just been, your signature was legible, as the judge said, but do you know what you were signing?
Even more foul was what happened with Eazy's access to his own people during those final days. According to multiple witnesses who were trying to get through.
Because nobody was allowed to see him. She wouldn't let anybody in. So if it was the way that they depicted to be, why couldn't somebody see him? Why couldn't his kids,
Right.
just his kids go in, you know,
His parents.
forget anybody else. Yeah.
Oh, his
That
own
part
parents
did.
couldn't see him.
At one point, they couldn't.
Oh, wow.
There was no explanation as to why.
That's some cold shit right there. Not even letting the man's own seeds see their pops. The financial implications of these deathbed maneuvers were absolutely insane. Frank Longo, who ended up representing some of Eazy's children in legal battles, revealed just how crazy the money split was.
I ended up meeting Eric's mom and, a couple of the, I guess, baby mamas. And I heard the whole story that on his deathbed, he had given basically his entire estate to one of his children's mother. I mean, yes, I think a certain amount was left to each one of the kids, but a very small amount. I actually can't remember the amount right now. $75,000, there we go. And at that time, I want to say that the estate was worth, I think it was over $20 million.
Let that sink in for a minute. An estate worth over $20 million, and each of Eazy's multiple kids only got $75,000, while damn near everything went to a woman he married when he was basically on his deathbed. The long-term consequences of these moves have been devastating for Eazy's children. BG Knockout, who stayed tight with the family after everything went down, described how the situation has played out over the years.
But she wasn't the best choice because his kids, they don't benefit from nothing that he's done, from none of the monies he made, the company, none of that. So she wasn't the best choice, but it's his business. He did what he did.
The situation has only gotten worse as time went on.
Okay, so what you're saying is in 2021, all his kids, aside from Tamika's child that they had together, don't financially benefit at all.
They don't
from
at
this
all.
estate.
Not at all.
At all.
At all.
The way Eazy got isolated during his final days had everybody who knew him feeling some type of way. Even his funeral became a reflection of how divided everything had become.
Well, one of the things that Yella said was that he was the only member in NWA to actually go to Eazy's funeral.
He was. And I was there to witness that. That's absolutely true. Yep, a bunch of other celebrities, like I think Belle Biv DeVoe, all them people came. I seen like R&B singers and all type of people, but Yella, as far as NWA, yeah, he was the only one.
The absence of his closest collaborators at his funeral spoke volumes about the relationships that had gotten destroyed, not just by his death, but by all the circumstances surrounding it. The questions that came up during those final weeks about whether he was mentally capable of making those decisions, about family access, about financial moves, and about how fast his health declined would fuel decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. Dr. Wilbert Jordan, an HIV/AIDS specialist, later dropped some information that added another layer to the medical side of Eazy-E's situation.
During that time, we know that he had a number of other women in his life. So I just want to talk about them for a second.
I have two of them with my patient.
Two of the women were your patients. Just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes.
Yes.
One is still my patient.
So they were indeed infected.
Yes, oh yes.
This revelation completely contradicted one of the main arguments used by people who questioned the official cause of death, that none of Eazy's partners had contracted HIV, which they claimed was proof that he couldn't have gotten the virus naturally. But to understand why this issue took such deep root in the hood, we need to examine the relationships and beefs that had defined Eazy-E's final years, particularly his explosive conflict with the Cat, who had once been his closest collaborator and homie. The deadly feud, brothers turned enemies. The beef between Eazy-E and Dr. Dre wasn't just some regular hip-hop drama. This was the kind of betrayal that destroyed the most legendary crew in rap history and created wounds so deep they never properly healed. What started as real brotherhood forged in the streets of Compton turned into a bitter war of diss tracks, legal battles, and personal vendettas that would define both cats' legacies forever. To really understand how deep this betrayal cut, you gotta understand what NWA represented for both Eazy-E and Dre. These weren't just business partners making moves. They were the architects of a whole cultural revolution that changed the game forever. Eazy-E, who went from hustling on the corner to owning Ruthless Records in 1987 using his street money, brought the raw authenticity, while Dr. Dre brought that next-level production genius from his days with world-class Wreckin' Crew. Together, they created something unprecedented. Real street narratives backed by revolutionary beats that had the whole world paying attention. The cracks in their brotherhood started showing as early as 1990, when Ice Cube bounced from NWA over money disputes. But the real explosion came when Dr. Dre started feeling like he was getting played financially, reportedly only getting crumbs despite producing most of the music that was making everybody rich. The situation reached a boiling point when Suge Knight slid into the picture, auditing Ruthless Records books and convincing Dre that he was getting straight up robbed. The moment that completely destroyed their friendship was captured in Dr. Dre's own words, describing the final conversation that ended everything.
I said, listen, man, all of this going back and forth, man, either Jerry goes or I go. and he looked me in my face and said, "I can't get rid of Jerry." That was the end of me and Eazy-E's relationship. The feeling I had at that moment, similar to losing a brother.
The pain in Dre's voice when he talks about that moment is real.
Seriously broke my heart.
But if Dre felt betrayed by Eazy-E's loyalty to manager Jerry Heller, Eazy felt equally betrayed when Dre bounced to Death Row Records in 1991. The business relationship between them was complex as hell. Eazy had Dre locked into exclusive contracts as both producer and artist, meaning he was still entitled to collect checks from Dre's work even after he left Ruthless. This contractual setup would become a source of ongoing tension and legal warfare. When Dre's solo album, The Chronic, dropped in 1992 and became a massive success, it included direct shots at Eazy-E. The track With Dre Day and Everybody Celebrating portrayed Eazy as a studio gangster who had exploited his crew, but Eazy-E's response would go down as legendary in hip-hop beef history. The 1993 EP, It's On, Dr. Dre, 187 Killer was Eazy-E's nuclear response, and its lead single, Real Motherfucking G's, remains one of the most devastating diss tracks ever recorded. During his appearance on the Arsenio Hall show, Eazy delivered some of the most cold-blooded bars in hip-hop beef history.
Basically, I had Dre signed as exclusive producer and exclusive artist. So when Dre tried to make his deal over at Interscope, I was included for the next 6 years. So you can say all you want to say. Basically, you could diss me all you want, but I'm gonna get paid. Because that's why I say Dre Day is only Eazy's payday. And that's real.
The irony wasn't lost on anybody in the hood. While Dre was dissing Eazy-E in his music, Eazy was still collecting royalties from every copy of The Chronic that moved off the shelves. The personal attacks were brutal and went way beyond just music. Eazy-E repeatedly called Dre a studio gangster, defining it as
somebody that's not real. They go in the studio and all of a sudden become hard when they used to do dance music.
This was a direct reference to Dre's previous work with world-class Wrecking Crew, where he had performed in makeup and sequined outfits, completely different from the hardcore image he was projecting with NWA when asked about making peace. Eazy's response showed how deep the hurt went.
Basically, if you look at, if I got dissed by, over a couple of million people heard about me trying to be hardcore, I don't think I want to make up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you understand. Business is business, I'd do a record with him.
The beef escalated way beyond just music. Reports from those days described violent confrontations, including incidents where Suge Knight and his crew allegedly jumped Eazy-E with baseball bats and pipes to force him to release Dre from his contract. These weren't just business disputes anymore. They were personal vendettas that threatened to destroy both men. But perhaps the most tragic aspect of this whole beef was how close they came to squashing it before Eazy-E died. Ice Cube, who had managed to patch things up with Eazy-E, served as a bridge between the former homies. In one of his final interviews, Ice Cube revealed the conversation that could have changed everything.
I see Eazy right before he died. He was talking about, yo, let's get the group back together. You think you could do it? I was like, yo, you work it out with Dre, come holler at me, you know what I mean? And it didn't happen because a few months later he was sick.
Ice Cube's fuller account of his final conversation with Eazy-E reveals just how deep the reconciliation process was getting.
But then I saw him at a club in New York called The Tunnel. And he was with Bone Thugs and Harmony. They was just blowing up. They had Crossroads that come out and it was just huge. So we got a chance to talk. We just sat and talked, and we talked for hours, just about old times, could we get it back together? He was beefing with Dre by then and Death Row. And I was like, yo, work that out and I'm here, and then that was the last time I seen him.
Dr. Dre had also started the process of making things right in what would become one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this whole story. Dre revealed that he and Eazy-E had actually chopped it up about reuniting NWA just weeks before Eazy got hospitalized.
Yes, I did. I was so fortunate to be able to get on the phone with him and talk about maybe putting the NWA back together, and we chopped it up about old times and what have you, and maybe not even 2 weeks after that, he was in the hospital.
Really though?
Yeah, so the last time I actually saw him, he didn't know I was in the room.
The final meeting between the two former brothers was heartbreaking in how it represented a missed opportunity for real closure.
He was on life support, so I just reached down and whispered a few words in his ear, and I think maybe the next day or two he passed away.
But you guys had a chance to
just talk as brothers.
Yes, we got a chance to rekindle it and, like I said, actually talk about getting in the studio again.
Yet despite this bedside visit, Dr. Dre's absence from Eazy-E's funeral remained a source of pain for Eazy's family. His son, Lil Eazy-E, expressed the lasting hurt this caused.
Did it bother you later on in life knowing that like Cube and Dre and them wasn't at the funeral? As I got older and a certain age, when I was, just active and all that, you'd be like, man, what? Because DJ Yella, to this day, like I told you, been on the road with him, he handed this shovel for me, but he helped me put the first shovel of dirt on my father.
Looking back, both Dr. Dre and Ice Cube have expressed their belief that Eazy-E would still be creating groundbreaking music if he were alive today.
My opinion, if Eazy was still here, we would probably be working together right now, and arguing about the work as we did back in the past. It's like, every project we had some kind of little argument about what the project should be creatively, and I would say we would probably still be doing that, but at the same time getting the work done and probably doing something amazing.
The beef between Eazy-E and Dr. Dre represents one of hip-hop's greatest tragedies. Two brothers whose creative partnership had changed the world, torn apart by business disputes, ego conflicts, and the pressures of an industry that often rewards division over unity. Their partial reconciliation before Eazy's death offers a glimpse of what might have been, but it also highlights how much was lost when their friendship got destroyed. But the story doesn't end with their reconciliation attempts or even with Eazy-E's death, because the circumstances surrounding his rapid decline, combined with the bitter rivalries and business disputes that had defined his final years, would give birth to conspiracy theories that have persisted for decades in the streets, theories that suggest his death might not have been the result of natural causes at all. The web of conspiracy, murder, cover-ups, and the truth behind the theories. The conspiracy theories surrounding Eazy-E's death aren't just some random street rumors. These are detailed accusations of straight-up murder that have been fueled by cryptic statements, suspicious timelines, and the bitter rivalries that defined his final years. At the center of these theories sits one cat whose own words have kept the speculation alive for nearly 3 decades, Marion Suge Knight. The foundation for the most prominent conspiracy theory was laid by Knight himself during his 2003 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, where he made a statement that would haunt the hip-hop community forever. When discussing alternative methods of handling enemies, Knight delivered what many interpreted as a veiled confession.
See, technology is so high, right? Right. So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS. Yeah. And then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no.
This wasn't just some casual comment. This was a detailed breakdown of exactly how someone could murder another person using HIV-infected blood, followed immediately by a direct reference to Eazy-E's death. The implications had the entire hip-hop community shook, and people started connecting dots that painted a very dark picture. The theory gained serious credibility from multiple sources who had been tight with Eazy-E during his final months. Members of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, who were signed to Ruthless Records, noticed some troubling changes in Eazy's health during what would become his final video shoot. Lazy Bone noted Eazy-E coughing and spitting during the For the Love of Dollar music video shoot, suggesting that something had been wrong with him for longer than the official timeline indicated. But it was rapper Frost who provided one of the most detailed alternative theories about how Eazy-E might have been deliberately infected. Based on his close relationship with Eazy during those final months, Frost developed a theory involving contaminated acupuncture needles.
I'm gonna tell you what happened with Eazy getting AIDS, and I believe this to this day, and I don't care if you guys got it on film, you could tell the world. They gave him tainted needles with acupuncture needles that tainted him and gave it to him because he got hurt in Honda Valley on quad runners, and he was riding quads, and what happened is that someone, I won't say the name, but people know the name. I don't want to say that name because it's a devil's name.
Frost continued his theory with more specific details.
But, another person in rap, if you know your history of rap, calls him a devil. So if you know your history in rap or West Coast rap, you'll know who I'm saying. But I was told even in the last conversation from Eazy not to even talk to that man. And not only that, but I think that they really had a stronghold of giving him tainted needles with the AIDS virus in them through acupuncture.
Frost's theory was based on what he saw as an impossible medical timeline that had everybody in the hood questioning the official story.
Because how else could somebody die that fast of AIDS? Have you even heard of somebody dying in 2 weeks of AIDS, bro? Come on, man. This is unheard of, bro. It was like, I'm in the hospital, I contracted the AIDS virus 2 weeks later, March 26th or whatever, I fall out and I die.
The medical aspects of these theories have been explored by experts, including discussions about HIV transmission through contaminated needles. When asked about the viability of such a method, one specialist explained the disturbing theories weren't limited to just Suge Knight, though. Some cats started pointing fingers at Jerry Heller, Eazy-E's longtime manager, suggesting that business disputes and the impending loss of control over Ruthless Records might have motivated foul play. The timing was definitely suspicious. Eazy-E had reportedly fired Heller in late 1994 or early 1995, just months before his hospitalization. Even more elaborate theories suggested government involvement, building on the FBI's documented surveillance of NWA following the release of Val Police in 1988. These theories positioned Eazy-E's death as part of a broader campaign to silence influential voices in the black community, particularly those who criticized law enforcement and government policies. The theories persisted partly because of genuine inconsistencies in the official narrative. The fact that none of Eazy-E's known partners or 11 children tested positive for HIV was often cited as evidence that he couldn't have contracted the virus naturally through sexual contact. However, this argument was later challenged by Dr. Wilbert. Jordan's revelation that he had indeed treated women who claimed to have contracted HIV from Eazy-E, though their cases had been kept confidential for privacy reasons. The conspiracy theories found new life in the digital age, with social media platforms and YouTube videos keeping the speculation alive. The 2015 biopic Straight Outta Compton reignited interest in these theories, leading to renewed discussions about the circumstances of Eazy-E's death and the role that various industry figures might have played. But perhaps the most compelling evidence against these conspiracy theories comes from those who were closest to Eazy-E during his final years. Ice Cube, who had reconciled with Eazy-E before his death, has consistently dismissed the injection theories. When directly asked about Suge Knight's alleged involvement, Cube responded with characteristic directness.
There was this interview done with Suge when he talked about how you gotta kind of get creative in how you kill someone. Like, Suge Knight could have potentially been the person that gave Eazy-E AIDS.
How would he do that?
Through an intravenous needle.
And Eazy would never tell anybody that.
No, maybe Eazy didn't even know.
Nah, I think if somebody poke you with one of them goddamn needles, you know. You know.
The medical evidence also supports the official cause of death. HIV experts have noted that the virus can remain asymptomatic for years during its clinical latency phase, meaning Eazy-E could have contracted it naturally years earlier through his admitted high-risk lifestyle. The rapid progression to AIDS that occurred once symptoms emerged is consistent with untreated cases where the virus has severely compromised the immune system. The 2021 docuseries, The Mysterious Death of Eazy-E, produced by his daughter E.B. Wright, explored many of these conspiracy theories in detail, but ultimately concluded that the official cause of death was accurate. Despite interviewing numerous witnesses and examining various theories, the investigation found no credible evidence to support claims of foul play. Yet the theories persist in the streets, fueled by the same factors that created them in the first place: the shocking nature of Eazy-E's rapid decline, the bitter rivalries that had defined his final years, and the genuine mystery surrounding the business decisions made during his final weeks. The combination of these elements created a perfect storm of suspicion that has proven remarkably durable in hip-hop culture. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.